Howdy, everybody. We are going to try to start a new series here to give some general market updates about what's going on in the trucking industry. Of course, we all know it's a tough market right now, but we'd like to talk a little bit more about what's going on that grand scale, but also what's going on here at Christenson. So I'm Rhett Robertson. I'm the Director of Recruiting here at Christenson Transportation, and today I've got with me Mr. Brian Hazzard, our Chief Operating Officer here at Christenson. So, Brian, what would you like to touch on?
Well, yeah, I think like you said, give kind of a general market update. I don't think anything will be shocking to anybody about that. I mean, it's a really tough market, and it's about as tough as it's been in a couple decades. So, kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit. And then just like Rhett said, kind of say where we stand in that market. In general, on a macro level, it's bad, and you're seeing a lot of carriers, struggling or closing up shop, and that's unfortunate. If you look at some of the publicly traded, transportation companies, their first quarter earnings came out, and they were really not great. I saw, as high of an operating ratios as 118%. What that means is for every dollar they brought in, they lost 18 cents. So a negative 18% profit margin. So I saw a couple. I looked at a couple, and the publicly traded, there were some that lost 20% value this year. So it's really, really tough. On a macro level, Christenson, we're doing okay compared to the market. So I think that's great. That's a testament to the drivers we have and all the employees we have and the hard work that people are willing to put in here. So we are doing okay. We were not profitable in the first quarter. Don't anticipate we'll be profitable in the second quarter. And so really, we're trying to talk about how we can kind of right the ship a bit. Some of it is going to come through outside economic factors. You'll read a lot of stuff of when is the market going to change. And people have varying opinions, fourth quarter this year, first quarter, second quarter next year, whatever it's going to be. But they don't think it's going to be now. And so just kind of talk through that a little bit. And talk about what we can do to minimize our losses while we kind of wait for those macro things to come back. So, that's really, I think, what we like to go over here today. So,
yeah, you touched on it a little bit in talking about some of the larger companies and the publicly traded companies. I've heard some. Just to be totally transparent, I've heard some of our own drivers say, like, what's going on right now? And maybe some fear that it's a Christensen-specific thing. And so I think part of our intention with having this discussion is talking about the whole market, that in comparison to these companies that are losing 18 cents for every dollar they make, we are doing okay. Like you're weathering the storm.
Right.
What do you think other companies of our size are experiencing? I think we see some of that data, but
I think that they're struggling. I think that it depends on I talk about our size. It depends on kind of different factors. The Christensen family, they have done a really, really good job of not putting ourselves in a really overextended position. We've always bought trucks really well. We've always valued our vendor relationships. We've never chased the next greatest deal, and I think that those relationships and those commitments have helped us to stay healthy. But a lot of people that are growing and grew a lot in 2021 and 2022, they over leveraged themselves, and they bought $225,000 trucks that weren't worth it, or used trucks for $150,000 that are now worth very, very little. And there's just not a way out for them. So we didn't do any of those things. We didn't build massive new terminals and spend all of our cash. And so, the Christensen family, they've talked about this. They've been through this before, probably more than once. And so I think that's kind of what helps us to stay in a better position. Like I said, vendor relationships, we never went away from that, we never let ourselves chase the market. So flip side of that, our customer relationships, we never chased the market. We've always stayed, try to stay 90% contract rate. And that's a testament to who we are. We could have very easily in 2022 went out and said, hey, sorry, Mr. Customer, I know we gave you commitments, but I'm not going to do that because the spot market is just so great. Well, the spot market was going to be bad at some point, and we recognized that, and we stayed true to our customers, just like our vendors, and we're being rewarded for that a little bit right now. Some customers have taken a little bit more, more revenue back than probably we hoped for. But ultimately, we're still, above 90% contract rate. Where people are really getting killed is that spot market. Those people that grew, 50% in 2022 and went and bought these really expensive trucks, and why would they have committed to customers if they never had long-term relationships? So they chased the spot market, and now they're operating 75% of the spot market. And that rate right now, if you go look at DAT markets, you're talking about $1.50 plus fuel. It just costs more to operate a truck like that, especially when you bought a $220,000 brand new truck 2 years ago. So we didn't do any of those things. We stayed smart. We stayed on our path, and I think that's why we're doing better than most.
Where do you see what do you see as the plans for us over the next few months until we start getting a little more traction generally in the economy?
Well, I think that we've got to figure out a way to cut as many costs as we can. Part of that is going to be fuel. Company drivers' fuel is going to be something we're going to put a lot of focus on. Idle time percentage is coming down, where we're going to have to put a lot of focus on that. There's a lot of fuel things we're considering. We run pretty lean in the office, so we'll stay that way. Like I said earlier, people have always been willing to work hard for Christenson, and I don't expect that to be any different. I think people are going to understand that we may have to step up a little bit and do a little extra work rather than go out and hire that next employee that we'd like to hire. So we're going to stay lean. We got to focus on some cost reducing initiatives. And then also, we're going to focus a lot on improving utilization. We talk about that a lot, right? So, we have a goal for our seated trucks that they're working 85% of the time. So, the way we looked at working is, are you under dispatch for 85% of the days? So the way that it equates is, are you under dispatch for 5.5 days a week? If you are, you're at 85%, and if you're not, then we'll be talking about that. So improving utilization, getting trucks ready for the front line for recruiting, getting those trucks filled. We've always been world class at retention. I mean, when we go anywhere and talk about our retention rates, people are just shocked. So obviously we're going to continue that and continue to take care of the drivers. Improving utilization, cutting costs where we can, that's going to be a major focus for us for this quarter.
Yeah. We're doing a lot of work right now talking about Freight Optimizer as far as utilization is concerned.
Yep.
And I'm sure there will be questions that come up about that in the future. Right. So could you talk a little bit more about what that looks like and what we hope to get out of it?
Sure, yeah. So we've signed a contract with a company called Freight Science. It's a utilization tool that we're hoping to help to increase utilization, reduce dwell time, and reduce deadhead percentages. So for you lease purchase drivers out there, obviously that's important to you, right? You want to make sure your deadhead is as little as possible, because you're consuming that fuel, unpaid on those empty miles. And so we're really focusing on that. The way that Freight Science looks at utilization is they look at it as a revenue per minute. And so, what is the best load out there that is going to make you have the least amount of dwell time and produce the most miles and revenue per minute for you guys. And so we anticipate that being a huge change. Over the last 3 weeks, we've been kind of tracking what our loaded miles per working tractor has been. And if you worked all 7 days, how many miles would you get? If you worked that 5.5 days, how many miles would you get? And so, what we'd like to see is those numbers increase with Freight Science, deadhead percentage decrease. For every mile that we're driving loaded versus empty, that's additional revenue. And so those are all things we're going to focus on. So, I don't know, the current state is kind of, if you were working for all 7 days of the week and you averaged, I think it was 408 miles per day, you'd be around a little over 2,800 miles per week. And so that's what we're currently at. 5.5 days is more around the 2,300 mile range. And so, we'd like to see that increase. We'd like to see more drivers working, and we've really done a great job of that already. From the time we started, our utilization for drivers that had, trucks that had a driver in them was 76%. It got north of 81% in the last few days. And so that's a testament to you guys, to our office employees communicating that message, to our drivers being willing to do what it takes. We're going to continue to focus on that.
Yeah. And, I think Brian makes a good point there, and it is something that we're monitoring all the time. It's really all hands on deck in here right now. When the market gets tough, yep. We all feel it. You feel it. We feel it. But we're on this stuff every day, talking about it every day, really putting the hard work in to really advocate for you, make sure we're doing the right things for you, and doing the right things to protect the company so that we can continue to do the right things for you. Anything that I've missed that you want to put officially on record here?
No, I don't think so. I think like you said, this is kind of a new series. We'd like to continue to do these. And so if there's things that you think we missed, throw them out there. We'd love to cover them. We'd love to have topics to go over that are important to you. And so, yeah, please feel free to reach out. If you're an MWAL employee, reach out to us directly. If you're a driver manager, reach out to Rhett, your driver, or if you're a driver, reach out to Rhett, your driver manager. We'd love to get some of your topics on here.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
Yep. Thanks.